Reality TV star and author of the new book, American Entrepreneur, Willie Robertson. He joins me now. All right, Willie, I didn't know this about you. I thought you were just handed this Duck Dynasty franchise and, you know, you basically wrote it out. But you were a kind of a hard-working, young, scrappy entrepreneur as a young man.
I was.
You're making some change on the side and building the...
I made more than change.
More than change. All right.
I had a booming business. I started out in worm farming.
Worm farming?
You ever done any worm farming?
Does it look like I've done worm farming?
Probably not. No, probably not. So I had a good worm farm, but it was just a lot of labor-intensive work. Checkout was a nightmare, you know, trying to count 50 earthworms, sell them to the fishermen.
How much money can you make worm farming?
Well, it was like a nickel a piece. I mean, it was tough work. It was tough work. Not as much. But then a guy handed my dad a box of Hubba Bubba bubble gum, and that ended up in my hands. And so fifth grade now, I could have chewed it all right. I mean, all this gum. I decided to sell it for 50 cents a piece. I had no money in it. Sold it, made my first little money, then started buying candy like crazy, selling, dealing. I mean, I had everything. And
dealing candy?
I was making hundreds of dollars, and the principal called me in and said concession stand sales were down, and he had to shut me down. So.
The government always trying to crack down on the working man.
I should have cut him in on the deal.
You should have.
Looking back, if I'd have had some real insight, I'd just cut him in on the deal.
The Hubba Bubba tycoon.
But we grew up with not a lot of money. So
right.
That was the duck calls. We were trying to get that off the ground, and we were. He was a commercial fisherman, so we did fish and ate a lot of fish and sold a lot of fish, and so I was always trying to make some extra money, and so that's why I ended up the CEO of the business. I went back to Dad later in life, and I said, "Hey, remember all the candy stuff I did? And so how about I be the CEO?" And he agreed, and here we are.
So now, have you noticed the business climate down south in your neck of the woods? Has it been really booming, as the president says? Have small businesses really taken off to the extent that we're hearing about across the country?
I think so. I think the country, in my opinion, has a great sense of the economy, that there's money to be made, more money in our pockets, and so our business certainly has been great, and looks like, you know, the consumer confidence is up. So I think the president is, you know, I think he's online, and that was one of the reasons that I thought he'd be a good president, was because of the business background. And so I really thought, man, we need somebody with some business background in the White House.
Well, the president gives himself very high grades. Let's listen to how he assessed himself.
I think I'm doing a great job. We have the best economy we've ever had.
So where do you rank yourself?
I would give myself, look, I hate to do it, but I will do it. I would give myself an A+. Is that enough? Can I go higher than that?
Can I go higher than that? Kenny? I don't think so.
That was like me in school, but in reverse. Is there anything lower than an F? Because, I mean, I don't want to be there. But, yeah, he feels good about the job he's done, huh?
Yeah, he feels very good, very confident. And, you know, I think it helps when you have a former businessman in the White House, because he really is cheerleading this economy. If you jawbone this thing and you look at the stock market and you look at the job creation, and even wages are up to the highest clip that they've been in almost a decade, that kind of megaphone from the Oval Office really juices optimism and just the raw sentiment out there.
Right. Totally agree. And we go through in the book, especially going back to when our country first started, a lot of people may not know this, our government kept running out of money. They would go to entrepreneurs to help bail them out. And so
maybe we could have some big philanthropist build the wall.
I thought about that. I mean, because because the War of 1812, I mean, we were running out of money. George Washington was running out of money, and so they turned to big business guys, and they loaned the government money, and so they went to, you know, entrepreneurs to do that. And so I think as long as we have that, as long as our economy's strong, I mean, the opportunity in this country still is awesome to run businesses, start businesses. And I think people feel like, yeah, I can start a business in this country and make money.
Speaking of big businesses, you talk a lot in your book, The American Entrepreneur, about Rockefeller and richest man in U.S. history. Just to put it into perspective, you write in today's dollars, he would be worth how many hundreds of billions of dollars?
It's astronomical how much money that he was able to wrap his head around and hands around. And he heard this motto when he was little in church, and the pastor said, you should make as much money as you can and then try to give away as much money as you can. And that really that changed his whole life, saying, I'm going to go make as much money as I can. He did. And
yes, he did.
He made although early in his life, his goal was to make $100,000 in his life and live to be 100. He almost hit the 100. He made well past 100,000. Then he tried to give it as much as he could away. And so really, at the end of his life, he turned saying, I'm going to try to give this away. And he said it almost gave him a nervous breakdown. It was harder than doing business. It was actually trying to figure out which charities to give money to.
I wish I had that problem. Trying really hard to find out ways to give my money away.
Maybe you will. So
Maybe
you
I will.
Keep your options open.
If Waters World keeps going the way it is, hopefully I'll have that problem. Willie, he doesn't have that problem. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Good.
Appreciate it.